Hey everyone, this is Jen and you're watching BPD Woman. In today's video, you're going to learn easy daily tips that can help your BPD recovery and that can keep you effective. And guess what? They've worked for me and I do these tips all the time. You're going to learn how to break down the big advice that you learn in DBT and from your psychologists and break it down to work in small, practical, everyday ways. You're also going to learn how you immediately can put into action these tips and to keep you regulated while you're working through your BPD recovery. You're going to learn how to recover quickly and efficiently when maladaptive behaviors begin to crop up and take their hold on you. And finally, you're going to learn how to set up a regulated schedule for yourself and see how doing that can keep you regulated as well. If that all sounds good, keep watching and let's get going. Once more, my name's Jen. You're watching BPD Woman. On this channel, you will learn how to more effectively live and manage with your borderline, your CPTSD, or to live more effectively if you consider yourself a highly sensitive person that has difficulty managing your emotions. My goal is to help you achieve your goals, offering positive, solution-based approaches to recovery, using my own therapeutic experience, and sharing with you the insights that I've learned along the way from living with the disorder of borderline for the last 30 years and after being diagnosed for 20, which has seen me do about 6 DBT full courses, one-on-one group therapy, reading books, doing research. I have a YouTube channel. You get it. I'm pretty committed. And while I am not a psychologist or a therapist, I can't answer one big old darn question that they can't, and that is, what is it like to live with borderline personality disorder? And in sharing the nuances with you that I have learned along the way, I'm hoping to give you the perspective and the edge to help you recover that simply just going to therapy cannot. If that all sounds good to you, would you do me a favor and please hit subscribe, like, share, comment below. You'll help out the channel. And maybe help out someone else as well. If you're a family member or friend or just someone else who's interested in positive solutions to recovery of the 3 disorders that I spoke of earlier, then you're also in the right place. And there's a playlist just for you entitled Vids for the Family that'll get you started. Let's get going. Like I mentioned in today's video, we're going to talk about easy daily tips that you can use and implement to help you with your BPD recovery. You get so much information thrown at you, both in DBT, from your therapist, from books, from websites, from YouTube channels. It's so overwhelming. You just don't even know where to begin. And if you're like me, sometimes when you feel overwhelmed with a bunch of information, you kind of shut down altogether. And so in this video, I'm going to share with you sort of the big premises that you've learned, and we're going to break those down into ways that can actually work for you. These are tips that I do myself. These are tips that have definitely helped me along the way. And I am going to especially highlight a few that have really worked for me. So let me start with the first one. Let's go from the start of the day to the end of the day. When I wake up in the morning, there's one very fast and easy thing that I do to get my brain situated. So, all right, maybe not the first thing. Maybe I'll take the dog outside, I'll get a cup of coffee, I'll feed the animals. But one of the very first things that I do when I wake up in the morning is I make my bed. That's right, you can see it behind me. I make my bed. Even if I've taken a nap or if the animals have been on it, I straighten it out again. Why? Because there is a physiological and psychological correlation between what you see and the kind of environment you live in and your well-being and mental state. So, to break it easily down, tidy house, tidy mind. Organized life, organized mind. If you live in a place of calm, you will be calm. Have you ever walked into a messy house or a dirty bathroom? Think about the kind of feeling that gives you, right? Does it make you feel at ease? Does it make you think you can think clearly? Me either. And that sort of goes into like a second, really, we'll just call it 1.5, another tip, which is if you're angry, clean. Clean, clean, clean. Other studies have shown that when you are angry or upset and you need to get energy out, cleaning or doing a task like that, that sort of mindless is something that you can do to not only be effective and get your brain and your body and your emotions regulated and calmed down so you can get back to a more regulated state where you can think more clearly, but also in the process, you're getting some chores done. So that's tip number 1. Always make your bed in the morning. Let's go to tip number 2. So after I've made my bed, I move on to step 2. And step 2 is to look at your goal board. I've done a video about goal setting. If you have a dry erase board, or you have a place like a chalkboard that you can write on, or even better, put it on your phone, because who doesn't have their phone on them at all times, generally speaking, during the day? When you put goals down on paper, when you are able to see them, when they are there in your face, then you are more likely to stay on top of those goals and get them accomplished. And so it's really helpful if physically you can see it in front of you and it reminds you. And eventually, when you start seeing it day after day after day after day, it's going to sort of just sink in. Now, these are sort of general big premises, and we'll talk about the daily things that you might want to get accomplished in a day. But these are sort of the bigger premises. So for instance, in my iPhone, on my calendar, I'm going to read you just one goal that I look at every single day that pops up, and I try to read these. Maybe you can read them on the way to work, or you can as you're walking your dog, or maybe right before your shower, you just take a minute and you just have this moment and you can look at what you want to keep on track for the day. And that is, one of these is to, here's a new one. Reduce complaining and increase your positive use points. Choose to be nice and first give people the benefit of the doubt. So this is something that I see every day, and this is one of many, so that I can be like, yes, this is what I want to keep on track. And sometimes you're not going to remember it right away, and sometimes it may slip your mind. But sometimes, I may be getting to complain, or thinking that I'm going to complain to somebody, or start to write a negative text, and then I remember, you know what? I'm trying to work on reducing complaining, and then I'll erase the text. Let's go to tip number 3. So tip number 3 is going right into the calendar. What is it you want to look at for the day? What are the things that you want to get done? Sometimes when I've woken up and I haven't planned my day, which honestly is that's not usually how I work. I usually have a pretty structured day. But structure and stability are things that you're going to find very helpful in your BPD recovery, because you've most likely already lived for decades and decades in an environment that is chaotic and invalidating and abusive and traumatic. And now you just need some calm regularity. And so when you are beginning to feel overwhelmed, or you're not sure where to start for the day, or you think you've done something correctly, or you can't remember if you've kept an appointment or made an appointment, it's helpful to plan it out on your calendar. And that's what I do. And I've also color-coded my calendar. So, items in green are my clients. Those are my business commitments. Items in blue are just sort of like things that I can get to when I get to. Things that are in orange are like, hey, must do today. This is important. Look at this. Things that are purple are my personal goals and just sort of mental health reminders that I want to keep to myself. Having it, again, this sort of goes back to the tidy house, tidy mind, organized house, organized mind. This is just one more way to do that and get your goals and stay on track for the day. Because especially if emotion derails you, and hello, you have borderline, emotion derails your day, it saps your energy, and then you don't get anything done that you wanted to get done sometimes. Having a calendar in front of you can be like, all right, I'm staying on track, I'm doing this. Let's go to tip number 4. So tip number 4 is sort of a calendar management issue, and that is making sure that you're not overloading yourself. How many times have you found yourself putting something like, I'm going to exercise, walk the dog, make dinner, do all my bills, and I'm going to schedule that for 90 minutes? Okay. So sometimes we're not setting ourselves up for success because we're overloading our calendar. And for me, when I feel overloaded, I'm like, I kind of want to do nothing. So I make sure to set realistic time commitments for these goals. So, I know that generally between 8 and 10 a.m., I've got some bandwidth to catch up on a few things. I know that when I get home between 3 and 5, if I've been working and I'm taking a break before going to my next job, my energy is kind of sapped. In between 3 and 5, that's sort of the time that I want to recharge, feed the animals, get some food into my body, and go on to the rest of my day. So setting yourself up for success and kind of knowing those moments where you're going to be tired or where you're going to have a busier day, and being realistic, because you want to set yourself up for success so that later you're not angry that you didn't get it, didn't get that goal accomplished. And then maybe that leads to some other sense of dysregulation. Also with that is prioritizing your goals. What is it exactly that you want to get accomplished for the day? What is the thing that you must get done? Okay, for instance, I have been putting off doing an exercise routine. And I walk every day. Like, I walk anywhere from 4 to 7 miles every day. So believe me, I get plenty of exercise. But there's just like other things that I wanted to do. And I was going to do it tonight, but I was like, maybe I should just make a YouTube video instead. So these two things are important, but they're not, one is not necessarily greater than the other to me. For instance, tomorrow I have to see a client to return something of theirs. That takes precedence. So that thing on the calendar is immovable. So prioritizing what exactly you need to get done and then organizing that in the order is also very helpful to staying on track. Let's go to tip number 5. Tip number 5, again, working on schedule, is making sure that you're taking care of the being of which you exist in. And that is not some kind of hokey pokey thing. Basically, it means make sure you're giving yourself the proper time to eat, sleep, exercise, take care of your physical well-being, and recharge. So for me, tonight, I'm going to do a nice long yoga session. I'm going to go to bed early. I'm going to watch some new crime shows that I really want to watch. I'm going grocery shopping tomorrow. I'm going to make sure that I have the right foods in the house so that I can have the right foods in me. And that doesn't mean I don't buy cookies. Hell yeah, I buy cookies every day. But making sure, again, because why is this important? Well, if you're not sleeping, if you're not eating, if you're not exercising, if you're sick and not taking care of yourself, that's also going to lead you to dysregulation. And that's sort of the animal that we're trying to come off of. Let's go to tip number 6. Tip number 6 is phone management. Now, what does this mean? Well, if you're like me, and sometimes especially if you get a little bit dysregulated, or you really want to make sure you get everything done and you want to see all the alerts on your phone go from red to, green, or you want to see the 5 text messages go down to 0, you may be on your phone, and the next thing you know, you've been on the phone for hours, and you totally get overwhelmed and like, it's 8 o'clock at night, and where's the day gone? So this tip here, what are we on, tip number 7? Yeah, I'm just looking at my notes. This tip here means that I don't necessarily always answer every text as it comes in, and I prioritize sometimes the texts in which they need to be answered. And this means I don't reply to a text, generally speaking, when I'm really pissed off, when I'm hungry, when I know that I'm feeling dysregulated and I'm about to say something. And listen, guys, this took a long time for me to get up to speed on. It didn't come like this. It wasn't easy. I made a lot of missteps. It took years of practice. But now, if I'm feeling grouchy, I usually now default to, why am I feeling like this? Let me do something about that. I'm really pissed off with her right now. I'm not going to say much right now at all. I'm feeling really emotional. Instead of my email, I'm just going to list out the facts, and that's going to be that. Other times it means that if someone needs me right away for something, then I get back to them right away. For instance, I have a client right now, and her cat's really ill, probably dying. And I love this cat, and they have been I've been in their lives for 2 years, and they've been in my life for about 2 years. And now when I see a text from her come in lately, I get to that one right away, because the cat could be ill. The cat could be ready to pass away, right? She may need me. Other times, like some clients I have, they are very talkative. Some clients may say no words at all. Some clients are very talkative. And so generally speaking, I'll take a look at their message, but I may be like, okay, well, that doesn't need my immediate attention. Don't just answer the texts on the cell phone or the emails or any kind of social media alerts. You don't need to get back to them just because you feel like I have to. It's a little bit about emotional control, and trying to learn how to slow yourself down, again, works into this physiological component. Because a lot of what DBT suggests is that when you slow the body, you slow the mind down. And that's going to take us to our next tip. So tip number 8 is literally slow down. Slow down. You know, when you're dysregulated, you speed up. And when you speed up, you make mistakes. And when then you make mistakes, you feel bad. And then when you feel bad, you may feel shame. And the next thing you know, you're on the BPD, emotional dysregulation Ferris wheel. Hold on, ma'am. Excuse me. Only when I'm making the videos is she active. You'll get it after bed. So if you are feeling dysregulated and you're rushing or you're sweating or you're pacing or you're talking fast, if you catch yourself in any of these heightened physical states, literally what I want you to do is just slow yourself down. Slow down your words. Lower your voice. Physically walk slower instead of a brisk walk around the building. Take a meandering stroll. Because when you physically slow down your body and your heart rate, your mind will follow. It's just merely science, okay? Trust me, it works. Let's go to tip number 9. Number 9 is make time for yourself and then don't feel damn guilty about it. You know, we are all entitled to our downtime. You know, those with BPD mirror a lot of traits of someone with codependency. And I catch myself in this all the time. I'm here to help. I want to help. I want to help. And then sometimes, you know, as a result of you wanting to help, sometimes you're over helping and then it becomes an unhealthy thing. And sometimes I help, but other times I'm like, that's their mess to clean up, right? And so, for instance, this evening, I am not working my second job tonight, and I'm tired, and I'm just going to catch up on a few things here that I need to catch up on, and I'm going to have a relaxing evening. This is my way of taking time for myself and not feeling guilty about it, you know? There are times, not many, but there are times when a client may need me to do something. And if I simply know that I can't make that meeting, or I'm too busy with other clients in order to see them, I simply will just say, you know what, I'm overcommitted and I can't. Because, you know, think about it. If you overcommit and then you are there because you feel this obligatory sense to be there, and then you aren't able to, or you don't perform or show up in an effective way for that person or get done the thing that you said you're going to get done, you're going to disappoint them and yourself. So it's better to just take time for you and recharge. Let's go to the next tip. The next tip I offer is to actively use your skills. Now, you learn so many skills in DBT: wise mind, deep breaths, use the distract skills, use a dear man, you know, use your wise mind. And you don't need to use all of them at once. And, you know, along the way and through years of practice, you're going to figure out which skills are going to be more helpful when, and what module of skills you should hone in on. For instance, if you're really upset and angry, probably that's the time for your emotional dysregulation. You know, choose a skill in there like, let's see, emotional regulation. Like, one skill might be to distract with wise mind accepts, right? Another time you may really need to have a conversation with someone that's going to be difficult, but you don't know when and where and how to broach that subject with that person. So that will be a time to use some interpersonal skills or interpersonal effectiveness skills. And so you may choose to write out a dear man. It's just sometimes just doing a skill actively. For instance, tonight, I guess you could sort of call what I'm doing, being in a wise mind, taking time off for me, just slowing things down. I'm just going to indulge in some recharging, right? Earlier today, I used an interpersonal effectiveness skill because I had to communicate something to a client in writing. And I've been putting it off a little bit, and I really don't want to interact with this client anymore, but I did it, and I stuck to the facts, and boom, it's over. And it made me feel relieved afterwards. And when you accomplish these little mile markers, it makes you feel masterful. I promise you. Let's go to the next. Piggybacking a little bit off of using your skills, something that is really great that I do in the car, especially because I can really be prone to road rage, is I listen to comedy in the car, or I listen to podcasts. Sometimes music, but I really enjoy listening to podcasts, especially longer ones. I do a lot of driving for work. And especially if you are using a comedy channel on Pandora, or just on Spotify, whatever you listen to, it's almost impossible to be angry and laugh at the same time. And so when you're choosing to listen to a calming or thoughtful podcast, or a funny or uplifting story or comedy show, you're challenging your mood. And in challenging your mood and directing it towards laughter or, lightheartedness, you will find it more difficult to be angry. This is just something that keeps me more centered in the car. I look forward to my time in the car when I get to do this. And of course, I do have blips with road rage every now and then, not serious incidences, but these listening to the podcasts or the comedy do help mitigate. Let's go to the next one. So another thing that you work on in DBT is sort of interpersonal effectiveness. And those with borderline get this rap that we have no empathy. Total bullshit. The problem, I think, that how it presents, and from my 2 cents, is that those of us with borderline get so overwhelmed and don't know how to regulate our own emotions that we seek others to help regulate our emotions. What do you think? Like, can you believe if he said this? Think about, how you use the favorite person, and anytime something goes bad, you're at their door and you're knocking on their door and asking them. And so people think, oh, borderlines are so selfish. They only call me with their problems. They never ask me about their day. And that's not true. We care about people. If somebody told me I had no empathy, that really hurt my feelings. I was like, I feel a lot. What are you kidding me? I have so many emotions. I don't even know what to do with them all. So as part of your interpersonal effectiveness and kind of getting away from being self-centric, and there's nothing wrong with being self-centric, just not all the time, is that you're going to ask other people about their day. Literally make an effort on your phone to just reach out to someone on, text, social media, a phone call, in person. Reach out to someone with zero agenda. You don't need anything from them. You don't want anything from them. You're just going to be like, hey, how's your dog doing? Hey, how did your surgery go? Do you need anything? Hey, I'm going to the store. Do you want me to pick up your favorite drink? Whatever. You're just thinking about them. It's not a transaction. And it's another way for you, to feel more masterful and to increase your interpersonal skills. Let's go to the next one. Something that I used to do a lot that I've probably come away from a little bit is to make a gratitude list, and I write it down. And usually, I would write it down in my diary card. And there are plenty of DBT apps out there. I use one called DBT Diary Card. And I'll put up a screenshot on where you can find it in your app store. And I would write a gratitude list, and or I would also write a list of things that I did really well that day that I was proud of. And that used to be things like, I didn't yell today, I'm really grateful for my dog. I'm really grateful that I have all of these great songs on my phone. I'm really grateful that it was windy and sunny today. Earlier today, I picked up some trash on the ground and I felt better about myself. I saw someone's meter was about to run out and I put in a quarter, whatever. These are just things that, again, sort of contribute to your consciousness of I love me, I like me, I am proud of things, and everything's not always negative. Let's go to my last tip to help keep you effective. My very last tip that is honestly really working for me these days is that I remind myself that I can choose to be positive and that I do not have to become angry or retaliatory if I don't want to. Now, this is really a next level of mastery of emotions. You know, if you would have told me, oh, when people used to be like, oh, you can choose to not be angry, you can choose to be calm, I was like, fuck you, I am borderline, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But it's true, you know, and one emotion begets another emotion. So you can choose to be nice and positive. You can choose to smile at your friend. You can choose to hold the door for someone. You can choose to help someone look for a lost wallet, you know? You can choose that. And if someone has made you mad, you can choose to walk away, or you can choose to be angry and retaliatory. Now, for me, being angry and retaliatory and being negative and being on guard and hypervigilant, those are sort of my defaults. Like, those come really easy. So I did have to really work at changing those default settings. And sometimes they come back and sometimes they don't. But that I do choose to tell myself, okay, I'm going to be nice today. You know, instead of looking down, I'm going to look people in the eye and I'm going to smile. It doesn't mean, you know, you can use your gray zone thinking. It doesn't mean you're going to be friends with all these people. It doesn't mean that in your mind, because you're being nice to them, you're trusting them. This is more about you feeling good inside, okay? My name's Jen. You've been watching BPD Woman. We've been talking about my easy daily tips to help you with borderline recovery. I hope they've helped. Let me know. Did any of these tips ring out to you? Do you have a suggestion for a tip? Is there something that you do each day that I haven't covered that's really been helpful? Share it with us. Or you can email me at womanbpd@gmail.com. That's WOMANBPD@gmail.com. And until I see you next time, in everything you do, please be effective. Bye-bye.